You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Lohman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Lohman.
Hey, welcome to the House of Sunny podcast, everybody. I'm here with sidekick Doug from The Rational Capitalist. Hey, Doug.
Hi.
Today we're going to do a little something different. Doug and I are sick of news. Actually, we're not sick of news. I don't know what to talk about.
I'm sick of news.
I'm perpetually sick of news. But this week there really isn't any. So we're going to just talk about, unless you want to talk about the Gillette ad, but everyone has talked about that. I'm sick of it. And the State of the Union getting suspended and Trump's response. But basically, those stories are a couple days old now, and I'm just kind of over it. So we're going to talk about TV. We're going to talk about the TV shows that we're watching and recommend them or tell you not to watch them. Do we have on the fly, can we think of a rating system, Doug?
We could do thumbs up or thumbs down, or is that too binary?
I don't know. We could do stars, 5 stars. That's pretty common.
Okay. Well, or 0 to 10. I like 0 to 10.
You like 0 to 10?
It gives me enough. It gives me so many gradations.
Yeah,
like
that's
I can say 6.5.
There's a lot of gradations there. I don't know. What is the
I'm
difference
very
between
nuanced.
What is the difference between a 5 and a 6? You know.
Oh well, let me tell you. Probably the hotness of the stars.
Oh,
that's
okay.
like worth tons of.
You get a point just if somebody's hot. All right,
absolutely.
Good to know. So, funnily enough, I don't watch network TV at all. So I don't. Do you? I don't have any. I was going to start with network TV, but I don't watch a single show. I don't even know what's on there.
I watch some cable shows, but not network TV. No.
Yeah. Okay. So network TV's out. I guess I watch a couple cable shows, but they're older. I haven't watched anything current. Like I watched 5 million stars up for The Expanse, which is that sci-fi show that is only available on cable. But that's old. I mean, that's been around now for a few years. And what else?
You're
watching Suits. Is that still on?
It was. I think they may have finished it, though.
Now that Meghan Markle married Prince Harry.
Yeah, she left, and so did Mike. The two main characters left. So they did kind of a final season without them. Yeah. I think was an attempt to.
Why did he leave? Was he heartbroken? Heartbroken that he lost Meghan to a prince? Oh,
in the show, they both went to London or something, or they went away. Or no, they went to the West Coast to do some do-gooder law firm bullshit. But
I see.
I think he wanted to do something else with his life in real life.
Yeah.
But I watch, so you and I are so different, I think taste-wise, as are all the listeners, I'm sure.
Sure.
But I personal value time, I love treasure hunting, history type stuff. And so I've been watching Curse of Oak Island, which is it's hilarious to me because I willingly am manipulated by it because they're these guys
show?
It's these guys. There's an island off of Nova Scotia, and these guys from Michigan bought it. There's a legend that there was a treasure buried on this island. And the legend's been going for 200 years. And these brothers decided to essentially buy this island, and they've been hunting for treasure on it for 6 or 7 years. And there's supposedly this treasure buried underneath. And there's a Knights Templar connection, and it's pretty fascinating history.
Huh.
But every episode, I think this is it. They're going to find something. And I've been watching it for 6 seasons. And I seriously get excited every week.
Have they found anything like a pottery shard? I mean,
Yeah. They in fact found a cross, which appears to be
how do you watch a show for 6 seasons when they don't find anything?
This is why I can't explain. I might need a psychiatrist to explain it. But
maybe but like for reality shows, the reason that they're interesting is because the people themselves are just kind of fun and you kind of just want to hang out with them. And so really, I relate to these guys. Yeah, right.
Because the one guy is like super all in, one of the brothers. The one brother's skeptical and is sort of like the logic guy. And the other guy is just emotionally all in. So every week he's like, we got to just keep digging. We got to just keep going.
And the brother's like, oh my God, when are we going to build a house and like make something of ourselves?
Well, I think they're pretty wealthy, but so then there's this other show I recently started watching called Lost Gold. And I was watching a show called Hunting Hitler, where the CIA agent and this team of like bounty hunter type people did a 2-season investigation about the real life evidence and study of like what could have happened to Hitler after World War II, because there's no forensic evidence that he died, as the narrative says. And they found all sorts of evidence that indicates that he survived and that he probably got to South America. At least a lot of prominent Nazis did. We all know that. But there's a huge expatriate sort of Nazi community in various spots of North America.
Primarily.
Argentina and Chile. And I mean, it's really creepy, man. It's just like the places they found.
Yeah.
Ooh. And the people were still scared. Like the people, they'd go to these towns and it was a lot of German sort of type people in some South American place. And the people were kind of looking over their shoulder a little bit like, oh, we don't really want to talk about this.
It's like, well, that was my grandfather.
Well, it was like some of the people had pictures and they're like, this was my mother was with this guy and it turned out to be, Goering or something like, some not Goering, but Bormann or one of the guys, some major Nazi guy, So it was very creepy and very interesting and it was credible too. So I can totally get into these like reality show, looking for gold, lost treasure, all that kind of stuff. Histories at the museum or whatever, you watch that?
Yeah, I'm not, I like history shows, but I don't think I could watch the reality show where they're hunting and not finding. Like for me, I need resolution.
Find something.
I need resolution. So like I'll watch a show where they actually found Hitler and how they found him. I don't think I'd watch a show like, ooh, there's all these questions. I just, conspiracy theories don't really interest me. So I know that is a big departure between you and me, but I actually like that you're into them because I like hearing about them secondhand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love the process of the detective the journey and the process of them going from lead to lead, even if you feel somewhat manipulated by the end of it. It's just like a good detective story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So you recommend those. So for me, then where I start to actually be knowledgeable is when we get over to like the Netflix, Amazon, Hulu world. And
can I mention one other? Sorry, before we go to Netflix, Amazon. Masterpiece Mystery. Do you watch any of that kind of stuff? Yeah, like the PBS stuff. I don't know what category to put that in, but I really like Endeavor.
Never heard of it.
You've heard of Inspector Morse?
Yes.
You heard of that? Well, they did a show which was the prequel, him as a kid coming into the police force.
Oh,
it's called Endeavor.
I've seen 2 episodes of this. Yes. It's good.
It takes place in 1960s Britain, which is sort of like, but it's Oxford, but it's still like kind of like Austin Powers era Britain, but it's, and it's sort of buttoned up Oxford.
Yeah.
But it's a great show. He's very heroic.
He's great.
And he's an intellectual.
He's super smart, and he has this boss who's like totally incompetent and political, and you just hate the guy, right?
Well, the chief isn't incompetent, but the chief is political. But then his main superior, Inspector Thursday,
he's good. He's good. But he has these run-ins with this incompetent police chief who, basically got appointed by a politician. Anyway, that is a good show. I like that show. All right, seconded. So how many?
Endeavor.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's start with Netflix and. I'm going to recommend The Last Kingdom, which is a show. It's fiction. It's about it takes place in England and kind of goes through the history of when the different little kingdoms in England banded together and finally were united. So was
this King Alfred?
Yes. So it stars a guy who is an heir to a portion of England in the north, but he was driven out of his lands by the Danes. And basically his father was killed and he was kidnapped by them. So he was raised by them and became like one of them, you know, and was actually adopted by his captor dad, you know. But he's really an Englishman. So he's kind of both. And he's embraced by Alfred. And he's a incredible warrior because he's like basically a Viking, you know. But he's English, so he's very, very tough and very smart, and he's a good military man. And so he's embraced by the king, and the king wants to help him get his lands back and stuff. So the guy who plays the main character is very, very handsome, so he gets an extra 2 points. But anyway, it's a good show, and I think it's historically kind of accurate. And anyway, the drama's good. There's a lot of political intrigue. It's kind of Game of Thronesy. I was going to just say, is it kind of a Games of Thrones? It is, but it doesn't feel like a soap opera. It does feel historical. I feel like Game of Thrones, it got a little soap opera-y in the way that they're filming it and doing it, and this is much more realistic and kind of rugged and raw. I like it much better, actually.
So is it a show though that can keep going, or is there like a resolution, like kind of like the Roman Empire thing where it's 2 seasons and they show a certain historical period and then it's over, or can it keep going and going?
I think there's a lot of history there. It's 3 seasons. I'm only halfway through 2nd season, and you know, I think Alfred has managed to unite a couple of kingdoms. He hasn't united the entire continent yet, and or continent island, I guess it is. But he's working on it. That's definitely a stated goal, and he's trying to manipulate all these different forces. And of course, the church is involved. And
what do you think of medieval themed shows or movies in general?
Yeah, I just kind of like them, I guess.
Some people love that kind of. It's sort of the.
I wouldn't say I
J.R.
love,
Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Is that sort of a genre?
Well, I don't feel when I'm watching this. That's more fantasy. This isn't fantasy. There's no fantasy in this. It's just. I did watch the show Vikings for a while, which I think that was on Amazon, and I liked that. So maybe I like this kind of thing. I don't know. It is, it's medieval, and then I also like
even if it's historical, it feels fantasy-ish to me, like knights and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, but this is like watching Braveheart or something like that.
Pretty gritty,
yeah. It's exactly. Gritty. It's not. There's nothing fake or sort of overly fantasy about it. And then, I like the shows about Rome too and stuff. I suppose at some point they would get to the point where the island is united, but it's not like there's then no more problems. It's not like they're not dealing with invaders and things after that even. So I think it could continue to go on if they wanted
so
it to.
So 0 to 10 for The Last Kingdom.
This is like an 8 for me. It's a really good show. I highly recommend it.
Wow. Okay. I might have to start watching that then.
And there's also, I don't know the name of it, but also kind of similar show is, dang, I should have looked this up. It's Chris Pine is in this new show. I can't remember if it's in.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
He plays Robert the Bruce. Outlaw King is the name of the show. And let's see, where the heck is it playing? It's really good. I recommend it. It's and he's naked in it. I don't know if that matters to you, but
well, it matters to the rating, so it might matter to the listener. That actually is a deduction. for me.
He is
I don't want to
full
see naked men
frontal
in shows.
in Outlaw King.
Really?
Yeah, Chris Pine,
Oh,
full
okay.
frontal. But he plays. He plays.
That's a -3.
That's a -3. That's a +5, dude. It wasn't necessary. It was not a necessary full frontal, and it is Netflix, by the way. It's not Amazon, so that I recommend. He plays Robert the Bruce, and it's kind of like it takes place basically right after Mel Gibson's movie Braveheart. It picks up right after that, and the death of William Wallace was kind of the catalyst where Robert the Bruce got fed up and started fighting the king. So, and ultimately they won. So it's great. Okay. Yeah, it's really great, and Chris Pine is great in it, and naked. So that's an 11 out of 10.
Weird.
So
whatever. Now, okay, so do you have another Netflix, or do you want me to give you one?
I have a lot of Netflixes, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you one. I watched Ozark with Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of that?
I watched the first episode. It reminded me a lot of, what's that show about the meth dealing?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Breaking Bad.
It's a little bit of that for sure. It's a little darker. I just like Jason Bateman a lot. I don't like him in real life, but I love him as an actor.
Yeah, in real life, he's just such a progressive. Horrible. He's just the terrible. Worst progressive, and he's an activist. But yeah,
I try and ignore all that.
He's got a really good sense of humor.
But this is a pretty serious show because he's laundering money for a Mexican drug cartel, and they end up having to move to the Ozarks. This family from Chicago, he moves his family there to try and figure out a way to. It was kind of a dodge for him to buy himself some time from this Mexican drug cartel, and he ends up trying to create a laundering business. And so it's kind of him dealing in the Ozarks and his family, who's their fish out of water there, and he's just kind of funny because of his attitude. He's almost sociopathic in this and that. This crazy stuff's going around him, pretty violent at times, or crazy, and he's just kind of blasé about it. No, it's not funny. It's not a comedy at all.
See, that's where I could see watching that if they really played up the fish out of water thing, and it was really funny because he plays a great straight man, where crazy that's what stuff is happening around him, but it's got to be funny stuff. I mean, it can't just be all death and bleh. It's too much.
No, it's just no. It's not too much. It's if you like drama. I mean, it's a drama. It's not a comedy.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's an interesting role for him because.
But you have to like somebody. I mean, like Breaking Bad. That was my problem with Breaking Bad. I didn't like anybody. I kept staying with it, thinking someone's going to redeem themselves here, and they never did. They were always nasty, horrible people. And by season 3, I was like, I'm out.
But I didn't like Breaking Bad either. Jason Bateman isn't in this show is likable. Like you totally root for him. He's not a dark, evil guy. In fact, he's trying to avoid it as much as possible. It's kind of like a guy who's in a bad situation who's trying to get out of it, but also understands that with the situation he's in, it comes with a certain amount of bad people and bad stuff going on, and he just kind of accepts it and moves on. So I give this one a 7.5 out of 10. If you like drama and little dark,
people love it. It's super popular. I watched the first episode and just didn't want to get sucked into something that dark at the time. Speaking of dark shows on Netflix, Peaky Blinders. Did you ever watch that?
No, but I've seen a lot of the trailer coverage. I know what it's about. Yeah. It got a lot of awards and everything.
I love this show. Like the guy who plays the main guy. I mean, I just he's so tough and so smart and handsome. Really, really good show. They lost me though. I have this thing where if you write a script, an episode where the character that I love acts out of character to further some plot, that you have in mind?
Don't do it.
Oh my God, I'm done. Like I'm done. I literally cannot make myself get through that episode because I'm so pissed about it. And it's like middle of season 3. And I'm sure the show went on to be very good, to continue to be very good. I was hooked. Hooked. I was like, I was binge watching that show and I got to that episode and I was like, what? No, like I'm not going to watch you ruin this character. I can't do it. Okay. They took like the strong, silent type whose main trait was calm, cool, and collected when everyone else was losing their shit, you know? Yeah. And they made him lose his shit over nothing. And it was like, where did that just, it came out of left field. It was weird. He had this yelling scene. And right when he needed to be at his best, because it was like he's facing a very serious adversary, he loses it and has like a fight. Like he screams at the guy, a very, clever adversary. He's yelling at the guy. The guy who got to the middle of season 3 would not have done that at all.
Are you sure there wasn't something more behind it, or did you just stop watching?
I stopped watching. Couldn't take it.
Like maybe.
But I might. Okay, I want to go back. I just I couldn't get through that episode, and this was a couple years ago. I should probably go back though, because I think it did continue to be a good show.
Right. So what would you give that one?
Maybe what I have to do is read the episode notes from that show just so I know what happened, and then go to the next episode and just pretend like it never happened. Excuse me.
Well, maybe it arcs in a different direction. Maybe the show does. I don't know. But then you wouldn't want to watch it if it does.
Yeah, if they ruin him, I don't want to watch it because I think he was so charismatic and the character was so charismatic that it made the show. It was the typical anti-hero where you really like the bad guy. Like you really, really like him and you want him to succeed, and everyone around him is awful,
Mm-hmm.
So I give that show, like the first 2 seasons are like a 9 out of 10. It's a great show. It's completely, it'll just snag you out of your life. So be careful. But then of course, like I said, it started to deteriorate. Do you have anything else from Netflix?
Yeah, well, did you watch Stranger Things? I never got. Yeah. Everyone's telling me I got to watch it. Is that worth it?
You got to watch it. Yeah.
I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Scale of 0 to 10.
10.
On Sneak.
10 out of 10.
Really?
Season 1, 10 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't get over the fact that I'm not real attracted to whatever
and there's
the premise
nobody
is.
hot in there. So there you go.
I don't know about that. Okay, so there's a departure for me. I don't like superhero movies. Generally, I hate them.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting sucked into these all these Netflix Marvel.
Oh, you did.
There's a whole Marvel universe, and they're all kind of interconnected, like Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and then Daredevil, who's the blind guy.
Who's that girl? Who's that girl who?
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones, yeah.
So that's what I was going to mention, because that's actually, oddly enough, it's probably my favorite one. I don't know what it is about her. I kind of like her character. She drinks a lot. I kind of like the hard scrabble detective type person.
Right.
And
she's definitely detective noir kind of.
Yeah. And Luke Cage is kind of dumb in a way. It's kind of cool. Like the universe is kind of interesting because it's Harlem, but I don't understand how you could ever kill him or like what his kryptonite really is. So it's a weird one. I liked Iron Fist, but that's weird. I think a lot of people hate it, but I liked it because of the
Do you watch all the big movies too? Are you like an Avengers fan? Oh.
Not at all. I don't watch any of that, and that's why this is weird for me.
Yeah.
Because I suddenly got sucked into all these superhero things and Netflix. And I think I like them because they're more it's a show.
They're more character driven.
They're more character driven rather than just, okay, we got the good guy superhero and the bad guy, and they're going to fight at the end for 25 minutes, and there's going to be a lot of explosions and special effects, and then it's over. Like, these are more like people dealing with some of their own demons, and like there's like a process where they're learning about themselves, and they have some flaws, and they have vulnerabilities that can be exploited, and the villains are pretty wicked, and it's in real life. It's not like a fantasy world. It's sort of like real life New York that they're in, and so I just kind of like the whole universe of it. I thought that was pretty cool. So if you see any of those, I think it's worth it if you like that kind of stuff.
All right. Do you watch The Crown?
No.
I watched season 1. It's about Queen Elizabeth when she was young, or that's where the series starts. It starts when she's a young woman. And I watched the first season. It was okay. Like, it was kind of like out of 10, I guess 5 out of 10. It was a little bit too meh for me.
Okay, it was kind of like too typical of
it's
those,
a little boring
of that genre.
Watching British people in royalty go about their business. You
oh
know,
my God,
they're
brutal.
a little overly repressed, and you know, like you're watching this woman, this young, vibrant woman, get the job of queen, and I guess vibrant is an exaggeration. You know.
Yeah.
You're watching,
relatively speaking.
You're watching an average girl get the job of Queen of England, and then, you know, she's got a couple people that she would like to continue working for her, that she has a nice relationship with, but she's told no. She has to work with these other people because they have seniority, and she doesn't really trust them, and they don't know her or have her best interest at heart, and they want to keep doing things the same way, and she's sort of struggling with people telling her what to do. And she just keeps giving in to them and acts like, you know, she's the goddamn Queen of England, you know? It's just...
Yeah, it's not cool.
But, you know, I'm looking at it through an American lens, which is, you know, in our culture, we don't play that game. So in her culture, it's different.
I don't like palace intrigue shows at all. I just cannot get in, especially the English ones.
And it's not even really that, because it's historically accurate. So it's really just kind of like, well, you know, and then people who had jobs who don't like change, you know, that's it. Like, it's not, it's like, it would be like a movie about me going, in my old job when I was a management consultant, going into a company and having to tell people you gotta have to do things differently now. And they go, I don't want to. You know, except in this case, the boss doesn't have any power. It's the whiny employee bureaucrat who has the power. So it's just, I didn't like it. I was bored. And hey, speaking of that family, did you hear that her 97-year-old husband got in a car crash a couple days ago?
Who?
Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, that Prince Philip guy.
Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he was driving, and it was his fault. He got into a car accident. He's 97 years old. He's
driving for?
I know, right? I mean, he hit 2 other cars, and so the news today was they're going to lower the speed limit in that area.
So you get into a car accident and some old senile man comes out and claims he's Prince Philip.
I'm going to drive.
What would you say?
I'm Prince Philip. I'm going to drive my car.
Would you be like, yeah, this guy thinks he's Prince Philip. He's this old man. I think he's crazy.
They're going to change the speed limit just to protect dude's feelings.
Oh, that's, you know
what I'm saying?
Class.
It's good to be the prince, because in America they would say, dude, your license is suspended. You don't get to drive anymore.
We don't want to embarrass the poor guy.
You're 97 years old. You're done. You can't drive anymore.
Classic British, like, oh, no. We just lowered the speed limit. Yeah.
That speed limit was too high. It was dangerous for everybody. Not the 97-year-old who has no more reflexes and can barely see out of his cataracts.
Oh, honorable mention. Did you and I talk about Mindhunter? Those guys that kind of
well, that's an HBO show. We've talked about it in the past. No, Mindhunter is HBO, dude. Yeah.
No, it's Netflix. I've got it up right now on
You're kidding.
On the internet. Nope.
I'm totally going to do it. I don't trust you.
I'm looking at it. Netflix, network.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, that is
so
an
I
excellent
got through like the
show.
first season. I think it was pretty good, but it was a little too dark for me.
I loved
It
it.
was like, did you?
Yes. I like that psychological criminal stuff. And I also think that the main character, the actor, I really like him. He was great. Real
Okay, I would
sexy.
give it a
very sexy guy.
Yeah. All right, so there's some of that going on here. Oh, I had to say too, Jessica Jones got an 8 for me, the superhero one, because the supporting actress, this Australian chick, I forgot her name.
Yeah, she's hot.
Is super hot.
Yeah, she's good looking. And if you like guys, the guy is good looking. What's his name? Luke Cage or whatever?
Oh, Luke Cage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's hot too. All right. I'm going to go 4 out of 10 for The Crown. Okay, Glow. I was like you with the show with the guys with the island. I watched the entire season and I hated the entire thing. It was like...
I know, I've had some shows
I don't
like
know
that.
why I kept going to the next episode, but I did. I guess I really honestly kept thinking it was going to get better, and the whole show just sucks.
All right, so what would you give it?
Avoid. Like
But
a
it
3
sucked
out
you
of 10,
in.
I
You
guess
had to-
maybe.
there's something about it.
Something. 3 out of 10.
Now, everyone said to watch House of Cards, but now with Kevin Spacey being so creepy, I don't think I can watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend on Netflix Bill Murray Stories, which is a documentary about, maybe you don't know this about Bill Murray, but he has this reputation of popping up into weird places.
Yeah.
And,
Totally.
being like, he was at a house party where he was doing the dishes. Like a bunch of kids, like in this big house with music, everybody's drinking beer, and he's in the kitchen doing dishes.
Oh my God.
And like,
So there's a show about this?
yeah, so he just shows up in people's lives. And so there's this documentary where this guy went around and had all these stories recounted.
Oh my God.
All these Bill Murray stories. And he's totally nuts. I mean, he's what they said, which was actually, it's a very kind of uplifting and inspiring show because the stories are funny. And it also kind of reveals that really benevolent sense of life that you're just going around and being nice to people and having these great moments with people that you've just met, that strangers are actually kind of cool. And I don't know. I thought it was super happy, uplifting movie. Kind of in a weird way. Like it actually had bigger themes than just, oh yeah, Bill Murray, he's a crazy guy. Like, the theme was actually, hey, talk to people, like talk to the guy sitting next to you, talk to the other guy sitting next to you at the bar when you're there having lunch for one,
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Talk to that guy.
Yeah, I knew that about him, and I had no idea they did a show recounting some of these stories. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's called Bill Murray Stories.
Okay.
And there's 2 new ones I have on my list to watch. One I'm pessimistic about, and the other one I'm really excited about. One is called Frontier. It stars Jason Momoa.
I watched
who's the
it.
Aquaman. You did?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through it.
And dumb.
No, okay. I think it's Canadian produced. It's produced by Canadians.
Okay.
And
is it about Canada?
it's a little. No, well, yeah, because it's in Montreal.
Okay.
The Hudson Bay Company. It's about like these fur traders and the Hudson Bay Company, and there's a rivalry between this like frontiersman who's like a real badass and this English guy from the Hudson Bay Company who's also a badass but in a British way.
Yeah.
And so they're sort of like fighting
in a
over the fur trade.
diabolical Moriarty sort of way.
Yeah, but
A British way. I love that.
You know what I mean? So I thought it could have been awesome. And I think it was just it's a little, what's the word? A little corny
I was
produced.
just going to say that. I was watching the trailer and I said, this looks like a soap opera. Like, it looks kind of cheesy. and I don't know. I'm gonna try it, but the
okay, I thought it was
dialogue
gonna
was
be
just
like,
kind of cheesy and not, it was too much telling and not enough showing. And the bad guy's like, I want two things. I want to run everything, and I want this guy dead, or something like that. I mean, it was just so dumb.
yeah, it got the acting and just the overall production got a little shoddy. And
Yeah.
have you seen? Oh, I wanted to mention this. It was, I think it's an FX show called Taboo with Tom Hardy. You know, the great English actor Tom Hardy.
He's great.
So he made this show called Taboo, and I think they've only done one season. And it's a pretty weird show, but it's absolutely amazingly done. And Tom Hardy is one of the greatest actors alive right now.
I'm writing that
and
down.
it's very, very dark and interesting. But I thought it was going to be more like that, more like Taboo, like really gritty. It is gritty, and it's meant to be that frontier, but it's kind of corny.
You can like see that it's on a soundstage or something.
Yes.
So the thing that it also has going against it is that I don't think Jason Momoa is good looking. I just don't. I know some women like that Cro-Magnon look.
Yeah.
But I don't.
He's like a pro wrestler. He's like pro wrestler.
Yeah, but he also
good
has that
guy.
like forehead ridge. I mean, he just like, I look at him and I just see a primitive man, and I don't think he'd be like someone I would want to talk to. This is so prejudice. But I think the point I'm making is I don't personally find him hot, and so I'm not drawn to this. I don't find him charismatic or good looking at all. So I'm not drawn to watch the show.
I don't think you're going to really like it. I think also there's some character contradictions, and
yeah, maybe I'll skip it.
Put it this way: it could have been awesome because I love the premise of it.
Yeah,
and it
right.
Just
It's a good time. It's an interesting time
Totally.
in the North American history, and the sort of wild, wild west.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I was drawn to, and it started pretty good, and then it got a little, So
Yeah. All right. So the other show on my list, and I'm a sci-fi nerd, and the other show is Io. It's just been released on Netflix. And the premise is that something has happened on Earth, and everyone has escaped to Jupiter's moon Io. That's where all of humanity has escaped to. And except there's this girl who somehow, I don't know exactly how, she's left behind. And she kind of wakes up and finds the place deserted. And she's a scientist's kid, so she's like super capable and super smart and knows all this stuff and knows how to work like ham radios and things like that. So she puts out a message, and another guy shows up, and then they and they try to find a way to get off planet and get to Io.
nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sounds interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
So we'll see if that one's good. Maybe we'll report back on that one. Okay, so let's move over. Anything more on Netflix before we move to Amazon? Okay, let's move over to Amazon. My big controversial dislike is going to be The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And as somebody who loves humor, I should love this show. And the problem is I love humor so much that I don't love this show because she's not funny.
She's just marvelous.
I think people can overlook that if you're not sort of comedy geeks like I am. I can write jokes, and so I know when there's bad jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm too much of a comedy geek, and I'm watching this show, and everything about it is good, but every time this woman who's supposed to be this marvelous comedian, like who's just this natural funny person, I don't find her funny. There's nobody's writing her jokes. She gets up on stage and she does this kind of rambling monologuing about her life. It's not funny. It's kind of postmodern. And it's not even peppered. It just doesn't even have enough punchlines for even that to work. Like, what was that show that sort of butch lesbian woman did that everybody was talking about? And that's not comedy or whatever. And it was like a one-man show where she told these personal stories. You remember what I'm talking about? Why can't I
No.
remember the name of this show? God, it was in the news for like a month. That, oh, is this the death of comedy? Because this woman got up and did this
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dang, what is it
I
called?
don't remember the name of it, but I remember reading about it.
Is it like Hannah or...
Yeah, it was just like non-comedy. It was just like...
Yeah, but even, like, so that's what they're having her do, except even that show was, like, had every minute you're getting a laugh. You're getting a punchline that makes you kind of laugh. So it still was, it was comedic. This isn't even funny. Like, whoever's writing this shit just isn't good. And
is it well produced though? Like,
oh my
it looks
God,
like...
it's so well produced. And Tony Shalhoub, who plays her father, is the greatest. He's so funny. And her mother is this super uptight Jew wife who's like very wealthy and unbelievably repressed. And the relationship between her and Tony Shalhoub's character, it's so funny. So you're laughing and enjoying the show, and then she gets on stage. So my problem is I like the show, but the whole premise of the show is that this woman is some sort of ingenue, that she's got this natural comedic talent, but it never materializes for me. And so I can't get into the show because the whole point of it, I don't buy it, you know?
All right, so what, 0 out of 10?
But people love this show. So it's really like, if you're a comedy geek, you're going to be bothered by it. Every time she gets on stage, I'm cringing. And it's too much for me. I can't do it. I'm done. I'm in the middle of episode 1, season 2, and I'm done. Like, I can't go on. I had to force myself through half of the first season before it got good. And then I enjoyed the second half. And here I am in episode 1, season 2, and I can't take it. I'm done. So I would almost say, because it's so offensive how good it could be, that I give it a 3. I'm like angry about it, you know?
Okay.
But the wardrobes are wonderful. The costuming is really great. And like I said, there's some really great supporting cast. But
you know what? This feels like a boyfriend that you broke up with.
Yes.
But you're talking about it so much that I think you actually still have a crush on him.
I'm angry about this show. Like, it should be great, you know? It should be the show for me. It's the show, the premise of the show is this young woman realizes she's funny and begins a career as a comedian, even though, like, women don't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, in her era, the late 50s, early 60s or whatever, she was supposed to be a housewife. And while that isn't really my life, I enjoy the idea of watching a woman it's like a woman coming into her own and also being a comedian. So for me, that should be right up my alley. Also, the clothes are great. The set's great. The supporting cast is great. The writing is good, except for the comedy writing. But it's such an integral part of the show that it's unwatchable.
Okay, 0 out of 10.
3.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm mad. But I think a lot of people do like it, so probably it's more like a 5 or a 6. All right.
So, did you see the show with Julia Roberts called Homecoming?
No.
It was like got a lot of publicity. It just came out. I watched it. Like, all right, there's a bunch of shows that have stellar premises that almost can't miss, and they somehow screw it up. And I'm going to put that in this category.
Oh, no.
Like, this starts off as really interesting and good and kind of creepy in a cool way.
Julia Roberts hasn't done anything since The Mexican. Anything good since The Mexican.
She's not bad in it. It's more the writing. It was, you know, it's kind of like this corrupt company is taking these people back from the Iraq War, and they're supposedly transitioning them to, you know, it's like, hey, come back here for a few weeks and you unwind and we transition you back to normal life from combat.
Okay.
And so this conspiracy starts to unveil itself where they're doing more to these guys than just some simple counseling. Like, maybe they're experimenting on them. We don't really know. You know, she's kind of involved, but she's begrudgingly involved. with this real asshole boss who's kind of a psychopath, and so this whole kind of conspiracy is unraveling, and I don't want to give the whole thing away, but it just has a real dud. It just goes to a dud climax, I think. So it's like I was really engaged. Like, where's this going? This is interesting. This is like real kind of creepy. Like, what are they doing? And then it was like, oh, really? That was it? Okay. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't bother with it. I'd probably give it, like, for premise, I give it an 8, and for execution, I give it a 3.
All right then. Let's see. But
that was got a lot of publicity.
Yeah.
And a very engaging trailer. Like, oh my God, I got to watch this.
Huh.
And it was like,
So watch the trailer, skip the show.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Man in the High Castle. I watched season 1.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about that.
Did you watch season 1, 2?
Yes, I watched 1 and I started 2, and I have the same take that everybody else has. So I'm not saying anything new, which is this is a 10 out of 10 for premise. Like, I can't think of a cooler premise.
Yeah, what a cool premise.
Than the idea that the U.S. lost World War II and the country is split between the Nazis and the Japanese on the West and East Coast. And, what's life like if we lost the war?
What would you choose if you had to choose living under the Japanese as it was in World War II, or under the Nazis, the Germans, as they were in World War II? What would you choose? And let's say that you could be Japanese, so you could actually not be a second-class citizen, like a white, an American citizen that they hate or whatever that they're.
I might go if I could be Japanese, I'd probably go Japanese, because I think you could still live kind of a religious life a little bit, whereas the Nazi thing was so all-encompassing, in your face, constant propaganda, totalitarian, and goose-stepping, Heil Hitler stuff. In the context of the movie, I thought about that, like, if I was an American, like, which one would I want to live in? And I still haven't answered it. I don't know. They're both awful.
Yeah, they're both really terrible.
But it does really give you the sense of, like, what it would be like to live under the yoke of that dictatorship, but within the context of being in America.
What I couldn't figure out when I was watching that show is, why doesn't everybody live in the middle where there's no government?
Exactly. The neutral zone.
Why aren't the Americans all in the neutral zone? Why does this even exist, where nobody's in charge and you can just go there?
Yeah, I thought the same exact thing. They never really explained, like, why the whole country doesn't move there, other than,
Americans would, right? It'd be like Texas.
But, this is taking place like probably 20 years after the war. And so people have sort of adapted, and you've got a whole generation of people that have probably grown up under this and they don't know anything else. But what I was going to say is it's a 10 out of 10 in premise. And then it goes a mystical route, which I don't fully understand. And it just went off the rails.
Yeah.
Totally
jumped. Why?
Because.
So I read the book, too. Did you read the book?
No.
I have to say that the book, that's the book's fault. The book goes absolutely crazy at the end. The ending of the book is literally insane, and you just go, what the F just happened? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And so what happened is they took the book, and they were pretty faithful to it. And then they got to the end, and they had to, like, make their own ending, because they couldn't end it that way, the way the book ended, because that was crazy, and it would have just ended the show too. So they made their own ending, and then now everything that's happening now is made up by the writers. It's not made up by Philip K. Dick.
Is season 2 made up then? Because I started watching season 2.
Season 2 is made up. Okay. Everything after, like, when she goes to the neutral zone, like the neutral zone, whatever. Is that what it's called? Or am I Star Trek geek? What is it? The demilitarized zone?
No, it is the neutral zone.
It is the neutral zone? Okay.
No Klingons or Romulans.
I'm like, what am I mixing up my shows here? She, when she goes there, everything is different from the book in order to lead to a different ending. And from there, it's just that. But yeah, so it's a great idea. And actually, the book is great. Until the ending. So.
Well, I think this show is worth watching, even with the goofy,
I agree.
arc
I really
it takes,
enjoyed it.
just because the characters, especially Obengruppenführer, or whatever his name, the American Nazi leader, is so in his life, this sort of suburban family comes home and his SS regalia, and his Nazi, hi honey, I'm home, right. And it's and he's really diabolical at the same time. So it's worth it just for all of that. And you definitely, but I thought it was going to be more of these resistance fighters trying to figure out how to fight these guys. And then it takes kind of a mystical, weird twist. And so disappointing, but could have been.
I enjoyed the first season. I haven't started the second season. I'm not that drawn to it because I didn't love the first season so much. And I could see at the end there that it was just, it changed. As soon as they got out of the book, it just wasn't as good. Although the book itself goes crazy. So, but it's almost like the guy's a great writer and he got to a point and he started taking mushrooms. And the book is great, and then you get to this point, and you're like, "What?" And that's when anyway, and whoever they have writing this thing just isn't as good as Philip K. Dick and the first part of the book. So,
all right, I want to give you two quick detective shows that are excellent. I think the first one that I love is Bosch.
Yeah, I've heard that's great.
He's really good. He's an LA detective with the police force. It's very realistic in terms of just the politics of the police, and the plots are excellent, and he's a great heroic character. So I really recommend Bosch. I think they're on season 4, maybe. I think they've done 3 or 4 seasons. The other one I really liked was with Billy Bob Thornton called Goliath, where he's a kind of a booze hound attorney who was a kind of a famous, very prominent attorney who kind of took some wrong turns and ended up sort of a lush, but ends up as a defense attorney.
I just have a problem watching him. He just seems so gross and icky to me.
He's really
he's like -3, like you were saying. For me, if he stars in something, you have to really convince me to watch it.
He's really a good actor in this. I mean,
he's a great actor. He's just kind of gross.
So that would totally make sense because I'm not looking at it that way. I like the hard scrabbled detective attorney genius who's kind of in rough shape, but he's still brilliant and he's still kind of caught in this conspiracy adventure situation. So, the second season wasn't as good as the first, I thought, but I think it's totally worth it. Yeah. I like Goliath.
All right. I got 2 more shows. Oh, did you have more?
Well,
no,
I was
Bosch and Goliath.
Bosch and Goliath, and then I was going to mention Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
The top.
I was going to mention that. I saw the first episode, and I'm cringing. I'm waiting for the progressivism. It's like, I just know, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
10 out of 10 for premise. I love Tom Clancy. I love Jack Ryan character. And I got about halfway into the season and I stopped watching it because maybe it goes a different direction, but they're portraying the Islamic radical people in a very sort of positive PC light.
Tom Clancy's spinning in his grave.
Yeah, and I couldn't take that anymore. So maybe it changed or it got good. But
no, and I've heard no, and I'm just not going to watch it. Okay. So that I'm not. The first episode, I mean, it kind of starts to draw you in, but I just can't do it. I
was so excited that this was coming out, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah. The other show, the last Amazon show I was going to mention is The Last Tycoon. I've seen the first episode, and I thought it was horrible.
Oh.
Like a 1
What's this one
out
about?
of 10. I don't even remember. And cast some guy who's like, he's fine for a model. He's got a chiseled jaw, but he has 0 on-screen presence. The love relationship that he's supposedly supposed to be in, there's no chemistry. He's just a big kind of empty suit with a nice looking face. It's just, I don't like it.
Okay.
Not a good show.
Right.
Mostly because of casting, I think, or maybe directing. Because even when you have really good actors, you can screw that up if you're just a bad director, like they did with Star Wars, you know? So,
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a great one.
Okay.
Unless you got another one.
I was
got a
going to
great
say I'm planning to watch Forever with Fred Armisen and Maya Rudolph.
I saw that. I love those two.
Okay.
I love Fred Armisen, and I actually really love Maya Rudolph, so I'm hoping that's good.
Yeah. Okay, what else do you have on Amazon?
Sneaky Pete.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a con man adventure with Giovanni Ribisi. He's this con man who assumes the identity of his cellmate, and he goes back to this guy's family and pretends he's their like long lost cousin, and craziness and adventure ensues. I love it. It's also the guy from Bryan Cranston is in it.
Yeah. Okay.
The guy from
Breaking
what's
Bad.
him call? No, not Bryan Cranston. I'm sorry. Anyways. Yeah, no, Bryan Cranston. God, yeah, duh. Okay.
Yeah, guy from
He's
Breaking
in it.
Bad.
He's really good. It's really kind of con man adventure type stuff, and it's funny. It's not a comedy, it's drama, but it's real good plot, I think. So I really like Sneaky Pete.
Cool.
And the other one I would mention is The Patriot, which I really wanted to like, and I just can't get through it.
What's that about?
Well, he's basically like an agent, and the funniest joke, he's like kind of a secret agent type guy. He's an intelligence guy, and he ends up working for this company that has these overseas contracts. And one of the funny premises is that he's in this industry called piping, and they make up this industry within the context of the show. It's called like piping, and
What?
they talk in this language. Yeah, exactly. They talk in this language about piping. And it's comedically something I've never seen done. They have these long technical conversations that are absolute gibberish.
That is
but
unintelligible.
But the actors deliver it in a way that's so convincing when they're talking about it. It's really funny.
How weird. Okay, I'm looking at it right now on Amazon. And by the way, it's got like almost 5 stars out of 5 stars with 797 reviews. That's huge.
I got to get back and do it again because it's slow.
But here's the description, the unintelligible description. John must make a choice at the train platform, be free from his obligations and adversaries by letting Agatha take the money or pursue her in an effort to protect his brother, father, and country. What?
Yeah, huh?
That is unintelligible. Okay, sounds good. So let's move.
One more. There's an Australian show called Wanted about these 2 Australian women on the run that get caught up in a conspiracy and they're falsely accused. And check it out. I don't know. I think it was on Amazon. It's called Wanted.
Okay.
And it's just fun.
All right, cool. All right, so we just have a few minutes left. We're going to do Hulu quickly, and then we do have some jokes that we'll just go through quickly, and then that'll be it for the show. But let's go to Hulu. There's only one show on there I'm watching. I did watch Handmaid's Tale. I watched the first season, and I honestly, I kind of enjoyed it, even though it's definitely a leftist propaganda piece. I like dystopian fiction. I can't help myself. So
Who doesn't like dystopian?
I don't know. I like
fiction?
it. I like it, and it's well acted, and so there you go. I wish that it was actually I wish it was more realistic, which I think it would be if it wasn't so political. But it's good. But the show that I'm watching right now that I'm completely hooked on is a show called Killing Eve, which got a lot of Golden Globes, and that's what drew my attention to it. And Sandra Oh is in it. She's the main character, and then she's a British intelligence agent who has discovered that there's this new assassin on the scene, and that assassin is played by a very beautiful woman. And so it's kind of a cute show. Eventually these two are going to clash and meet, I guess. the agent, played by Sandra Oh, she's fascinated with this woman, and kind of in a dysfunctional way, you know? She's not just like in a law enforcement way trying to find this woman. She actually admires her. And yet, because she's not a psychopath, she's horrified by, you know, murder and things like that. So she's a real person, but she does have this kind of obsession with this very, very skilled assassin who also happens to be, you know, a woman, which is unusual. And that was kind of the premise, is like, well, women don't kill people. Women aren't generally psychopaths that murder, especially not international assassins. And so what makes her tick and so on. And so she becomes kind of obsessed with her. And it's a good show. I'm really enjoying it. It's really well edited and acted, and it's got some funny moments. The
trailer looked really good.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. The psychopath woman just looks perfect.
Yeah, she's perfect. She's so psycho. So that's it for my Hulu recommendations.
I only saw one Hulu that was original, which was the show Shut Eye with the guy from Burn Notice, Jeffrey Donovan, where he's the scam artist and works for this like gypsy crime family. And through a quirk of fate, he ends up actually becoming somewhat psychic, even though he's a scam psychic. And it only ran for 2 seasons and got canceled. I binge watched it because I liked it, because I like Jeffrey Donovan a lot. I thought the premise was good, but I'd probably only give it like a 6 out of 10. So called Shut Eye. It's all right.
All right.
Hulu doesn't have that much that I love.
It's more old stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's it for our TV review show. I'm going to tell some jokes here. But we want to hear from you. Like, what are you watching? Put that in the comments, and we will check it out.
Yeah, recommend them, because I'm always looking. This is sort of frightening how much TV we're watching, Sunny.
Well, for me, I have an excuse. I like don't get out much. I'm kind of sick. But
yeah, I don't have an excuse.
You know, this is actually really kind of 2 years of watching, though, because a lot of these shows, like Peaky Blinders, that's been out there for a couple of years. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Plus, you can binge watch one of these shows like in a night.
In an evening, yeah. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I watched the first season last year. I mean, that show has been out for a while. Second season was just released, so I don't feel bad about it. I feel like I have less than average TV watching habits. I don't watch TV per se. I watch it on my computer mostly, and so I'm very deliberate in my TV watching. So I don't feel bad about it. What I feel bad about is my Facebook and my social media habit that takes all my time.
Much less entertaining.
So, all right. So here is a joke that's one of our elite squad, which you can be an elite squad if you become a patron of House of Sunny. I don't have a way for you to do that right now. You could go over to houseofsunny.tv. There's a PayPal button. You could just donate to me, and you get into the Elite Squad Facebook group that way if you want to. But I'm going to be having something soon. But anyway, he left a joke, which I will recite, and I haven't even read it, so we'll see how this goes. I should have probably practiced this, but I don't normally read jokes cold. But here we go. This could be really dirty and gross, and here I'm about to say it. One day, a florist went to a barber for a haircut. After the cut, he asked about his bill, and the barber replied, "I can't accept any money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The florist was pleased and left the shop. When the barber went to open his shop the next morning, there was a thank you card and a dozen roses waiting for him at his door. Later, a cop comes in for a haircut, and when he tries to pay his bill, the barber again replied, "I can't accept any money from you. I'm doing community service this week." The cop was happy and left the shop. The next morning, when the barber went to open up, there was a thank you card and a dozen donuts waiting for him at his door. Then a member of Congress came in for a haircut, and when he went to pay his bill, the barber again said, "I can't take your money. I'm doing community service this week." The member of Congress was very happy and left the shop. The next morning, when the barber went to open up, there were a dozen members of Congress lined up waiting for a free haircut. That's a good one.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Carl from the Elite Squad, thank you very much. Okay. Here is a joke from our voicemail, and My mic is kind of off, so we'll see if this even works. I may have to edit this out. If I have to edit this out, I'm sorry to those of you listening, but we'll try it.
What do you call it when the prostitute doesn't charge you? Free pork. Huh?
What do you call it when the prostitute doesn't charge you? Free porn. Do you get that?
No. I thought he said free pork, but he said free porn.
I don't know. Maybe he said pork. Either way, it makes no goddamn sense. Okay. All right, here's our joke man.
Hey, Sonny, a joke for you. An older lady walks into the bar and goes up to get her a drink, and bartender says, I need to see your ID. Lady says, kid, I'm almost 60. Bartender says, I'm sorry, but I have to see your ID. Lady pulls out her ID, pays for a drink, and tells the barkeeper, go ahead and keep your change. The tip's for carding me. Bartender looks up and says, thanks. Works every time. Bye.
True. That would work. Suck
That's
up to your clientele. True. So that wasn't really a joke so much as it was advice.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say it's not. It's more of like just a scam. It's like a effective scam if you're a bartender.
We're learning things. I think this is the second time we've had a joke like that where it was just good advice.
Yeah, like how to be nice to your mother-in-law. Not really a joke.
All right, that's it for the show today. And join us next week. If you want to call in a joke, the number is 707-681-5834. We love to hear jokes from you. We play them all. And we will see you next week. We'll probably get back into the news, right? Yeah, we'll see. Something better happen.
Let's stay with TV or something.
Maybe I'll start watching the international news. We should have talked about Brexit. That would have been way more interesting.
Gross.
All right. See you later, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded, and because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.